Good afternoon.
Hello, hello.
I have a question
Yes,
um, concerning the bubble of reality
yes,
and the things saying about other people.
yes,
So, is it always that if we say something about others, that it always has to do something with us?
yes.
So, is it also if, for example, Sebastian asked me, what do you think, like kind of how I feel?
Yeah.
And I say, I have the feeling that you feel agitated or nervous or whatever. Is
Mhm.
it that I'm agitated?
You perceive him as agitated because there's
Yeah.
something in you that gives you that thought. Why did you get that thought? What was it that gave you that idea?
Um, the behavior that kind of he had.
So how did that make you feel? The behavior that he had. Did you feel agitated by his behavior?
Not really. I felt more, I don't understand, or I can just see that he's agitated, but maybe I felt in the sense of agitated something is not right or what can be right, what can be wrong, is there anything he needs or whatever in that sense.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. You can only ever empathy is when we feel the other person in us as us.
Hmm. Hmm.
So when you feel that he's agitated, it's his behavior that is agitating you,
Hmm.
and you feel agitation, which could be a mirror to him that he needs to look, he's agitated, but
Hmm.
it's you who's seeing it. It's you
Hmm.
who's seeing it. So you also need to look into your agitation.
Hmm. And if it's about like other people, like we have a friend and he keeps telling like the same pattern. It's a different story, but it's a pattern. So we kind of talk about the pattern, and then it's like, okay, is it how we see the world, or is it like really what is concerning to him? And it feels like, oh, what can I think, and what can I
But
not think, and can I ever advise?
no, you can never give any advice to anyone. You can
Mm,
only ever give advice to yourself.
mm,
But be very, very clear that what I'm doing with the Q&A is
mm,
when you guys say something, you are reminding me of something in me
mm,
that I'm saying. That's why it's so useful that when Todd is here, because
mm,
he's seeing something different. So on the
mm,
Q&A, on the inquiry that we have on Tuesdays, you have two different
mm,
aspects. But make no mistake, I'm talking from the viewpoint of my backpack. I can't talk about anything else. Todd is
mm,
talking from the viewpoint of his backpack, and that is the usefulness in it. And as
mm,
long as Todd and I are humble regarding that and knowing that whatever I see as true is just my truth and truth
mm,
to me, then I have no need for you to do anything. You can do whatever you want with our conversation. If it's useful, I'm really happy. If it's not useful, I'm really happy. Got nothing to do with that. So when you
mm,
look at the friend and you see that your friend has a pattern, make no mistake, it's your pattern recognition that is seeing that. If you come from a space where you have no hooks into your friend doing anything specific, then you can be at the fifth floor advent point where you can see what is happening in the maze that he's running around in. And
mm,
and you have no need for him to see the way out of the maze. He can be in the maze as long as he wants to. And you can see the benefit of him being in the maze, and you can see the benefit of him not being in the maze. But he's free to do what he wants to do. Then you are at a really, really good place to give him advice.
mm.
But you're also in a position to see that if he does not take your advice, that is equally okay. Because who are you to know what he can use the advice to?
Okay, but there's nothing wrong, or it's not like false identification if it's coming out of this place,
If
or
it's
is
coming
it?
out of a place where you know that if he did what you want him to do, then his life would be better, then we're back to what Jeremy talked about.
But it's not like that. It's more like not being judgmental, just like seeing it and maybe talking about it, and like more in the sense of making offers, like could it be this and that, and not like you should do this and then you would be happy. But it was just like the question coming up: can it ever be like neutral, or ever not coming out of the place which is not my reality?
It can only
So
come out of your reality.
yeah.
Because you haven't got any, that there's no one in there that is uniquely knowing everything.
Mm-hmm.
You only know the things you know, the things you have experienced. You can only recommend out from your experience. If you have no experience, if he's going to Turkey and he's not sure, you've never been to Turkey, and he's not sure if he should, bring roller skates, then you can only recommend him on how it was for you to roller skate in Spain if you've been to Spain and roller skated there. You cannot recommend him. So
Mm-hmm.
you would take a starting in your mind, even before you become aware of what is happening, you will have a mental picture of you roller skating in Spain. And that would be the starting point of your advice to him about bringing roller skates to Turkey. That was such a bad example.
Yeah.
Hi, sorry,
That's
can
a
I just
lie.
can I just bring the thing up, because like what he is basically saying is that if he would have a partner like Sophie that is into the same stuff, into yoga, surfing, spirituality, then he would be
Happy.
whole, I
Yeah,
guess, yeah.
whole,
Maybe
yeah.
it's a little bit that. And then he sees in every potential girl he meets that partner, and from the beginning is only looking at if she could be the one. And I guess you are absolutely right in saying, because I have done that in the past for sure. And I can really see that, like, I can see I try to say old reality in it, because I feel like this is not the same anymore with Sophie. But he sees us that way. He sees us as the perfect example of how it should be in his life. And we can kind of, I feel like we can, like Sophie said, we can see the prison in that. Like,
Yeah.
And it's like it's like it's a kind of suffering, and he's like always bringing this topic up first when we meet, kind of yeah, everything is good, but it would be easier or better with a partner who's sharing that like you do, and and you're not lonely and whatever. And it's not that we like kind of judging him
No,
or
no.
what. So but that's where the topic came up, like, are we able to talk about it, and from what place is it coming, and what does it say about us? So we were just like
It
kind
helps,
of
yeah.
wondering.
It helps a lot that you're giving the specific example.
Mm-hmm.
When he says, I want to find a girlfriend like Sophie, and I want to have a relationship like you guys have. Do you see clearly that he's projecting what he believes your relationship is? He does not know. He's not with you 24/7. And even if he was with you 24/7, he would still view your interaction through his glasses, through his mirror, how he see himself and how he see the world. He does not see your relationship. He does not even see Sophie.
Hmm.
He sees a projection of his wishes that he's projecting onto your relationship. He sees a projection of the perfect woman that he's projecting on to Sophie. And I bet you that projection doesn't have farty smells and doesn't, leave hair everywhere in the shower, and she doesn't have any of that, which means it's not Sophie, is it?
Mm-hmm.
So you can be completely calm with him. Whatever projection he has, it's his projection. You're not doing anything wrong with being happy in your relationship, and you don't have to burst his bubble at all.
Mhm.
Because what you think he sees is what you think he sees. It's not
Mm.
what he actually sees. Obviously, Sebastian, you're so biased because you look at Sophie and go like, she is magnificent. Every man on the planet should have a Sophie. You know, of course you see that. Of course you see that. So of course it's difficult for you to hear because you know that there is only one and she's yours. So he will never ever find a perfect Sophie, the one that you think is perfect Sophie. He will probably find his perfect version of a Sophie.
Mm.
At the same time, I also see the danger of him completely closing his eyes to the reality that is happening in front of him. That could be an amazing Louise that he's not seeing because she's not exactly like Sophie is.
He's looking for his specific Sophie, not for a Sophie
Not
copy,
for-
but like
yeah.
for a very specific set
Good.
of skills and
Yeah.
and
How a
optics and
woman
age
or a girl, yeah, should be like
and
that way. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
those expectations are in the way, like really heavily in the way
Yes.
of finding someone.
Yeah,
And
it absolutely is.
he's a great guy. He would deserve someone, and it's
Yeah.
painful to see.
Yeah.
It's like to feel
To feel
this.
this pain.
It's,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
the pain we can feel
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And it's
And
hard
then
to-
that was another thing because I felt like this pain, and I said like afterwards it makes me feel kind of heavy. But
Yes.
maybe it's like if I talk about it now, I've gone through phases where
Mm.
I felt I need someone to be happy. Otherwise, I will not be happy. So it is probably that I can see or feel his happiness in that.
Yes.
So that is my kind of projection, and maybe it's even not happiness, but also he is saying a lot about other people that he sees a kind of heavy energy.
Yeah.
And when he says that, I feel like, yeah, but you're in heavy energy as well. So it doesn't make sense.
He's himself. He's projecting his heavy energy onto other people.
Mm.
There's some reason why he in his life right now is diverting. There's something that is beginning to surface in his life that he's not ready to look at, and he's diverting. And right now he's diverting with looking for the perfect partner that we know doesn't exist. I mean, the perfect partner is only perfect if that person is confident enough in themselves to be themselves. And we happen to love them being themselves. That is the perfect partner. So there's no certain set of a perfect partner, but he's not ready to see that. He probably looks for the perfect partner so he can become perfect without him doing any work to becoming perfect. He's thinking that he needs to be perfect. The way that he is not okay. But if he gets a partner, then he will be okay. Then he will spend his Sundays, the right way that he's supposed to spend a Sunday instead of how he is spending a Sunday. So he's projecting all the things that he thinks he is not onto her, and she will bring that to the table, and then life will be good. And he doesn't need to go to therapy. It's
But,
a win.
yeah, but it's what I want to say, because a part of her is like she should be done with all issues, like kind of be a happy person, and then he adds like I am. And for me, I feel like, well, how can anyone ever be ready? I mean, that's great if that happens, but what is this kind of expectation that anyone is happy and anyone is ready with everything to deal with? And yeah, so
So do you guys see that he's projecting onto that fantasy woman all the things that he's not? Yeah.
yeah, so it was also like we were wondering, is it okay to see this projection? Like, where's our identification in that? So
It's in that, for example, you can only recognize the heaviness in him when you acknowledge the heaviness in you. Otherwise, it would just feel uncomfortable.
Mm.
The moment that we are with other people and we feel, and we feel, that it's, we feel fearfulness, or we feel annoyance, or we feel, and we're completely clear on the feeling that we have is arising in us, is because of something they do. So we pick up on them. Otherwise, it would just be like, no, I don't like to be with Jeffrey. I don't like that. I don't like that. And we don't know why. We just don't like it. Then we're diverting, and there's something that we're not looking into. That you, Sophie, can see, I get heavy when I'm with him. It's because you recognize your heaviness in him. It's still your heaviness. But you have been in the room where you're heavy. You have been in the room where you have depression. You have been in the room where you have, you need the world to be in a certain way in order for you to be happy. You have been in that room, which means that you recognize it in him. So you can only recognize it when you've been in the room. So it is your projection, but that doesn't mean that he's not heavy.
And it also doesn't mean that there's anything like wrong with it, right? Like you can be with him in the room, feel his heaviness, hold that with compassion. Maybe even if he asks, give him some honest advice from your heart, and there's no necessarily like wrongful identification with the process going on within us. Or is it?
No. It's beautiful. I love it. I spoke with a friend about a group where it's only people that have seen through self, and they are guiding one another, and they enter the group with the goal of supporting and helping another person. So it's like a paid forward group, if you can say it like that. So nobody comes to the group to be guided. Everybody's there to guide the others. And it's like a fantasy group that I really would like to have at some point. And I spoke with my friend about it, and where he said that, but you have to remember that people that are in the sixth feather will only have the starting point of everything from the sixth feather. They will only look at, there is no subject object. People that are working with the fifth feather, they will see that what are you trying to change in the other person, because that is what you're working with when you work with a fifth feather. People that are in the seventh feather, they will see, well, you can change the time. You are in the fourth dimension where time doesn't exist. So how can you dissolve this issue that you're in? And that's the problem when we speak, that we speak from the point that we're at. So when you're in the 10th feather and you don't know anything, that is what you're sitting with. He's allowed to have whatever feeling comes up. Who am I to know anything? And that's the level of usefulness I could give. You know what I mean?
Then you stop, but then you stop talking.
Have I ever stopped talking?
I bet you could give him great advice. I mean,
probably, and maybe not. I mean, who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
If he's up for a one-to-one with Todd, have him book one. You know? But
I mean,
he would need to know about the feathers in order for us to be able to help him. You know, he would need to be willing to look through the identification of self. And if he's not interested in that, we are not the right ones.
He's a 20 years Buddhist Vipassana 1 hour meditation every day, but he has done the Angelo online retreat with me now. And that changes that. Like he was like, oh,
wonderful.
What is this? The belief, what the beliefs I have, they scared him a little bit, but I think also it's very nice to spend time with him. I just wanted to mention it because he's a very warm, beautiful person.
People are wonderful. Vipassana people are wonderful, absolutely wonderful to be with. See if he understands English good enough to do the curriculum, so he can walk through that, and have him come to the Q&A here or to the inquiries, and then see what happens. See what happens. But you guys need to be very clear that whatever you see is your projection. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just how it is. The eyes sit in your head, the ears are attached to you. So it can't.
It helps, or it's what I understood, that it just can be from the past, because I was like, is it present now. So it doesn't mean that it's there at the moment, or is it still there?
So seeing that in him doesn't mean
Like, you
we
know,
have that issue with each other necessarily. Because that we, I guess we,
No, it's just what you see. Like I said, the heaviness that you pick up, it's now that you feel that heaviness and you are okay with the heaviness. You're not diverting from the heaviness, which means you're fine with it. You've been in that room. Be where heaviness is present.
Okay, yeah.
But
So
make no
that
mistake, it's
helps.
your heaviness.
Yeah. Okay, great.
And that is actually where a relationship becomes really, really good, because that is where you completely set the other person free. That the other person can be in a funk. Todd, he has had some days where he's been in a funk where he hasn't, like, it hasn't been okay, and he hasn't been able to say what was okay or wasn't okay. There was just a lot of things happening in the body. I have no need for him not to be in a funk. He can be in a funk as long as you want to. It doesn't change anything. And
Yeah.
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 Can we have like
Yeah, go. You go.
so when Sophie is annoyed by me letting my old underpants laying around in the room. I mean, she would never be aggressive about it or anything, but like sharing that
I got
feeling of
activated.
sharing that feeling of being annoyed by it with me. So it's her old feeling of not like something like that.
Yeah, it's not about the underpants. It's about something else that you're not seeing in her. Something which you are not acknowledging in her that she's annoyed about. It's not the underpants. The underpants are just a manifestation of a feeling. So, Sophie, next time you see the underpants, just stay with the feeling. What is this reminding you of? It's not about the underpants. What is this reminding you of? There's something that Sebastian is not seeing in you.
Okay.
There's something that he's not meeting in you. And it's not about Sebastian. He's just the person you're projecting it onto. So it's not about the underpants. It's not about Sebastian. It's something in you that he's not meeting that you need to meet.
I was thinking about it because I could feel like, okay, it is activating me, but I can see it's not a problem. So I came like, that was my explanation for it, that it can be from my childhood, and that in our house, everything needed to be tidy, or was not allowed to leave things around. And so I was like, okay, probably that's a belief. It needs to be tidy. Otherwise, we are like messy people. If it's
There
not
we go.
tidy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So next time you see the underwear on the floor, then you say, apparently, Sebastian and I are messy people. How does it feel for me to be a messy person and be in a relationship with a messy person? How does that feel? What does it do in me? Clearly, you're back in your childhood. What was it that you thought that you now had to do to be okay? So if you have to do, he also has to do. You can't be the only one doing everything. He needs to carry his load.
Yeah, that's another thing, like why he doesn't see it. So I made up, yeah, he just doesn't see it. It's like it's not in his way, it doesn't bother him. So it's not a problem. It's just a problem for me. And obviously it's yeah, from my childhood or whatever, yeah.
But it's about you being okay with being messy. It's about you have a projection of what messy people are. You are most definitely not that. So you need to explore that. What does it mean to be a messy person? You know? And what you're projecting onto Sebastian that he needs to do so you don't feel that you are. Look into that. Look into that.
Yeah, and that's a new one, yeah. So maybe it's like it's a blind spot. Obviously
Yes.
it is.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And be careful with not, I'm so happy you guys are bringing it up. And be very careful with not bypassing. It's okay. I'm fine with it being messy. It's not what we're looking for. It's not what we're looking for. We're looking into that underlying pain that is peeking its head out. Because you will, if you look into this and if you give it space, you will reach a point where you will not even see that there's underwear on the floor, or you will pick it up without even noticing that it's an issue. It won't be until afterwards that you're gonna go, what just happened? Because there's no there's no there's nothing tied to it anymore. There's no, there's nothing attached to it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense. I think I can even see the differences that I have days where I really don't see it and other days where it's more present. So, but it's there, yeah. So definitely, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna investigate on that. Yeah.
Yeah. I would love to hear about that. I would love to hear about that. How that goes. I would love that. And thank you so much, you guys, for being honest. It's really nice.
Thank you. It's really nice.
Sure, very soon Sophie's underwear is also gonna be on the floor.
Yeah, I know. In the lamps everywhere.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, you guys. Thank you. Thank you.